Hi, and welcome back everyone. Welcome back to a new Black Desert mobile video. Okay, so today we are going to take a look at the latest update or buff or rework for the Reaper class that has arrived on the Korean version and will most likely come to the global version soon. Okay, so for those of you who do not know, the Reaper is the Awakening Sorceress. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the Korean patch notes, as you can see over here. Okay, so this is actually in Korean but translated once again by the built-in translator provided by Chrome. Okay, so some of the translated words might be somewhat weird. Okay, but do not worry. Okay, I will tell you the corresponding skill names that we have in the global version. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, so the Reaper's short movement distance made it difficult to attack enemies in face-to-face battles, and it was difficult to respond to the enemy's range attacks because the range skills did not have super armor. Alright. Okay, so this is important. Okay, so Cartian's Nightmare. Okay, so this is actually Soul Spike, alright? Okay, has been changed to range technology to enhance the ability to respond to long distances. Okay, so what this actually means is that Soul Spike has been improved, right, to do range. Right, it is now a range attack. Okay, later we'll do a side-by-side comparison, right, later in the video. Okay, and over here you can see that Reaper's Judgment. Okay, so this is actually Soul River, right? So now it consumes more darkness shard or dark shard or shards of darkness to increase the skill damage by 44%, right? 44% here. Okay, later we'll take a look at this in the game as well. Okay, let's move on to the skills. Okay, first up we have Shadow Leap, which is actually Shadow Slash, alright. Okay, so seems like now when you use Shadow Slash, you gain one piece of darkness, which is the Darkness Shard. Okay, and it says that it is connected with Reaper's Judgment, which is Soul River. So I think it's trying to say that there's a better transition to Soul River from Shadow Slash. Okay, we'll do a comparison later in the video, okay, in the game. Okay, and of course increased damage for Shadow Slash, okay, as you can see over here. Alright, okay, let's move on. Okay, next we have Soul Exploitation. This is actually Harvest, okay, which is the Reaper's 11th skill. Right, same thing, increased damage for both PVE and PvP. Okay, and same thing here. Okay, using Harvest, you can gain one shard of darkness, and there is a new better transition with Soul River. Okay, later we'll see this in the game as well. Alright, moving on to the next skill. Alright, Nightmare is just Nightmare, yeah, which is your black ball moving skill. Alright. Okay, so now it seems like there's a new increased movement speed when using Nightmare, right? So maybe the ball moves faster now, and Okay, now it is increased critical chance when using skill, right? Okay, and now it seems like there is okay, according to this, okay, it seems like there is a better transition to other skills such as, for example, this is Soul River, this is Soul Spike, Harvest, right? For example. Okay, and it seems like there's a new better transition to running as well. Okay, do your Reaper running. Okay, we'll see it later in the game as well. Okay, moving on. Right, Cartian's Nightmare. So this is actually Soul Spike. Okay, so once again, okay, it says that you can use it faster. So maybe that is attacks the speed of the animation, maybe. But okay, the more important thing here is now Soul Spike is a range attack, right? And of course increase PvP and PvE damage. Alright, as shown here. Alright, moving on. Alright, Cartian's Wrath is just right, same name on the global version, Cartian's Wrath. Okay, same thing. Increase PvE and PvP damage. Alright, and moving on. Okay, Reaper's Judgment. So this is actually Soul River on the global version. Okay. Okay, so now you get life stealing when the hit is successful. So that means you have to actually land a hit. Okay, and they added this new dark fragment deepening effect that will do additional 44% damage by consuming 3 of your shards of darkness. Yeah. Alright, so that is a lot of damage, additional damage. Alright, moving on. Okay, the trampling of the dead. So this is actually Death Circus, aka the Reaper's spinning skill. Right, so it says that the attack speed of the technology has been increased. So most likely the spinning speed has been increased. Later we'll do a side-by-side comparison in the game, right, between the global and Korean version. Alright, moving on. Okay, hunting for the dead is actually Flash Reaper. Okay, so for this skill, just increase PvE and PvP damage. Alright. And moving on. Okay, Shadow Capture. Okay, just increase PvE and PvP damage. Alright. Okay, moving on. Okay, Blade of Darkness. Okay, increase PvE and PvP damage as shown here. Okay, so Blade of Darkness is actually Rift Slicer, alright? Okay, so as you can see, okay, all of the skills, with the exception of the level 70 buff skill, has either been improved in terms of their damage, rework, or buff. Okay, so let's jump into the game and check the differences, and let's take a look. Alright, now we are back in the game on the Korean version of BDM. Okay, let's take a look at the skills. Right. Okay, so we are only going to do the comparison between the global version and the Korean version for the skills that have been reworked or changed. right? So for the skills that only have their damage increase, we're not going to do the side by side or any type of comparison. All right. Okay, so first up, Fatal Cleave. So this is just increase damage. Okay, so nothing to compare here, just increase damage for PVE and PvP. Okay, but next we have Death Circus. Okay, so this is something that we have to do the comparison. So let's go. Alright, so with all the skills that we are going to do the side by side comparison, okay, the global version, the current version that we have will be on the left, and the new and updated Korean version will be on the right. Alright, okay, so let's take a look at Death Circus, aka the Reaper spinning skill, and see the difference between the current global version and the new updated Korean version. Alright, so you can see that the spinning skill, aka Death Circus, on the Korean version is faster now. Yeah. Alright, let's go to the next skill. Alright, next, Soul River. Okay, so once again, this is something that we have to do the comparison between the global version, currently what we have, and the newly updated Korean version. So let's go. Alright, so now for Soul River. Okay, so just for Soul River, we'll not do a side-by-side comparison because okay, we'll need to show you how many shards you are using, right? For the current global version and the newly updated Korean version. Okay, so this is the current version that we have. Okay, Soul River. Okay, notice that it consumes just one darkness shard. Just one. Alright. Okay, so next let's take a look at the Korean updated version. Alright, now let's take a look at the updated Korean version for Soul River. Okay, so take a look at the bottom right. Okay, so notice that we now consume 3 darkness shards, right? For additional 44% damage. Alright. Okay. Yeah, so let's jump to the next skill. Alright, next Flash Reaper. So for this, only increase damage. So nothing much to compare here. Okay, so let's jump to the next skill. Shadow Slash. Okay, so we have to do a comparison for this between the global version and the Korean version. So let's go. Alright, so in addition to the increased damage for Shadow Slash, okay, let's do a side-by-side comparison. Okay, or rather from the transition from Shadow Slash to Soul River. Okay, so we'll do a side-by-side comparison. Okay, once again between the global version and the current, or rather the newly updated Korean version. Okay, so let's start on the left. Okay, with the global version. Okay, so we'll do a Shadow Slash to this goat, and then we'll use Soul River immediately after it. Right, so notice the slow transition. Okay, now let's take a look at the Korean version. Alright, so now you can see the transition between Shadow Slash and Soul River is very smooth. Alright. Okay, let's move on to the next skill. Alright, next Rift Slicer. Okay, so for this, okay, only increase damage for both PVE and PvP. So nothing much to compare here. Okay, so moving on. Nightmare. Okay, so for this, we need to make or do a comparison. Alright, okay, now we are going to do a side-by-side comparison between the Nightmare skill, okay, between the current global version and the newly updated Korean version. So once again, the left side will be the global version and the right will be the Korean version. Okay, so let's take a look at how running transition with your Nightmare skill. Alright, so you saw the newly updated smooth transition, okay, from your Nightmare skill to your character running, yeah? Okay, so let's move on to the next skill. Alright, next, Guardian's Wrath. Okay, so for this, okay, only increase PVE and PvP damage. Okay, so okay, nothing much to compare here. Moving on, Soul Spike. Okay, so for this, for sure, we need to do a comparison. Alright, now let's do a side-by-side comparison between the current global version for Soul Spike and the newly updated Korean version. Okay, so over here we have locked on to a goat. Okay, we're going to use our Soul Spike from a distance. Let's go. Okay, so notice that the current global version for Soul Spike only hits the area in front of your Reaper. Okay, so we can't hit a target from a distance away. Alright, now let's take a look at the Korean updated version. Alright, so as you can see, the newly updated Korean version of Soul Spike now allows you to hit and land your Soul Spike at targets from a distance away. Alright, so let's move on to the next skill. Alright, so that was the new Soul Spike. Moving on to Harvest, our 11th skill. Okay, once again, we need to do a comparison. Alright, now we are going to do the transition from Harvest to Soul River. Okay, starting with the current global version that we have on the left. Okay, so from Harvest to Soul River. Okay, so notice that the transition is not very smooth. Soul River is still quite slow. Alright, now let's take a look at the updated, right, the updated Korean version. Alright, so you can see the smooth transition from Harvest, alright, to Soul River, okay, on the newly updated Korean version. Yeah, so this should allow for much better combos, yeah, smooth transition between the skills. Alright, so now that we have seen all the changes and rework for most of the skills, okay, let's see how the Reaper plays or fares against the other classes in the arena. Right, so let's go. Alright, we have a level 69 Hashashin. Okay, let's see how the new Reaper plays against this Hashashin, yeah. Holy shit. That damage. Alright, looks like we have the same level 69 Hashashin. Alright. Okay, so long range. So spike again. And spin, 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 spin. Yeah, so spike is now long range. And GG well played. Alright, we have a level 74 Warlord. Okay, let's see how the new Reaper plays against this Warlord. Okay, notice that range. And GG well played. Okay, once again the same level 69 Hashashin. Yeah, we have to be careful and not get knocked down. Oh my god. Okay. So you can see that the new soul spike is very useful, yeah, with its long range attack. Okay. So if you find that this update on the newly reworked Reaper has been helpful and entertaining, do remember to like, share and subscribe. And as always, stay awesome and stay safe, and do look forward to our next upcoming Black Desert mobile video. Cheers, man.